This is the Brattlecast, where we talk about the Brattle bookshop, about used books, old, rare, new, out of print, you name it. Not just books, but the story behind the story. Ken Gloss, the owner-operator, is here with me. And Ken, a lot of people know that not only is the store magnificent and terrific on West Street, but right next door to the store is an open lot where people can browse for the books. They're terrific, but they're at a very good price with stickers and so forth. So you're going to give us a little behind-the-scenes look as to how that all happens.
One of the things, again, what I'm trying to do in some of the upcoming podcasts is tell just operationally. A lot of people seem very interesting. How does the store work? What's the behind the scenes? What's the treasure hunt, or how do we go about running a bookstore like this? And a lot of questions come up about the outside area. And actually, one of the reasons specifically for doing this, one of the things at the store is we have a profit sharing plan, and we were meeting with the advisors for that, and we've been with them for 45 years. And we had lunch ahead of time, and one of the things is the person who we've been dealing with for 45 years says, well, when in the year are you going to open up the outside again? And I looked, and she's a wonderful person. I said, it's open all year round. She said, the winter? And I said, unless it's raining or it's snowing, it is open. Now, we did one time in the last 40 or 50 years close it when it wasn't raining or snowing because it was 10 below zero. And I didn't want my people who work with me outside moving them. And I was afraid that some customer who would be devoted to the outside would stay out there so long they'd get frostbite. So
Well,
it was.
in recent months, we've had quite a few big storms, a couple of big blizzards. And I recall walking by, because I lived nearby, I recall walking by very shortly thereafter, and there they are, the books, ready to go.
Well, of course, one of the things with that outside that's benefited the store tremendously, although at the beginning it was a problem. In 1980, we had a building there that burnt down.
Right.
So that's where the land comes from. A few years after that, we bought the building that we're in now and paved over that lot. And what that lot really provides us is, I look at it and I say, this is like a pressure valve for the store.
Mm.
Because what goes on out there when we're buying books, we go out to houses and estates all the time. And sometimes when we're at an estate, they might have one or two very rare, very high priced books that you get. But most of the time, or much of the time, we're getting called out. And the reason that people are calling us, they're moving or they're selling an estate. And the first question that we get asked isn't necessarily, are you paying a fair price? Could you do better? First question is, are you going to take everything? When we leave, they want the books gone. So we work out a deal with that. In many cases, we'll buy. Just this morning, I was out in an estate. We bought 1,000 books. Yesterday, we bought 800 or 900. The day before that, we bought a couple of thousand books. And a lot of those come into the store, and we process them, and we put the ones out on the shelves that we want, or the rare books on the third floor. But then you might have 500 books. Put them out at $1 and $3 and $5, and they move quickly. Also, when you get in a nice collection of books in a particular field or area, we just got a big collection in on Irish history and another collection on math. We went to our math section. We went to our Irish history section, and we go, wait a minute, a lot of these books are good books that are here now, but they've been here for 6 months, a year and a half. Put them outside. Put the new books in so the customers see new stock.
Mm-hmm.
So if we didn't have the outside, the store would explode books. I mean, literally, it would reach an area and it would explode. On the other hand, the way I vision the outside, and the people love coming by, shopping, and they do it all year long, is I look at the outside as being this big, huge monster that needs to be fed every day. So I shovel books into it. That's what it eats, is books. And I'm shoveling them in, and it's going chomp, chomp, chomp. But where it's tremendously helped the store is on that overflow. Also, we get lots of people who do buy books outside. A lot of books do sell. The weather is an issue. Uh,
Of
a
course.
lot of people don't think about this, but if you get 2 feet of snow like we did, and then right after that, a couple of weeks later, 20 inches of snow, that lot, which is about 1,300 square feet, has to be clear. And we actually a lot of times have our staff come in on, even if it's still snowing a little, not that we expect to do any business while it's snowing, but that we can start clearing the lot out. We have a snow blower. We have about 8 shovels, and the snow blower only does it to a certain depth, and then we have to shovel it off. On huge snowstorms, we block off one side of the area with big piles of snow from the snow blower, and then for the next 2 or 3 weeks, each day we shovel out one shed. The next day we shovel out another shed.
Let me interrupt you for a minute because you just mentioned a word that I noted, and that is shed. This is a very important facet as we talk logistically about the outside area for books. Describe what you mean by shed and how artistically delightful they really are.
Well, when we first started doing this, we just had tables outside, and my father had them. And you'd carry the tables in and out each day. And then I said, well, why don't we get library cots? Get library cots that we can roll in and out. Well, before it was paved over, I said, well, we should pave this lot because library cots don't roll well on dirt.
Mm-hmm.
So it went from dirt to paved over library cots. And then this is sort of saying sort of the behind the scenes. Library cots, though, are still made to be indoors. So what we were finding is, and they're not cheap when you buy them new, I assure you, that they were starting to wear out a little at the joints. So I actually hired a contractor who had welding and welded metal into holding and supporting the cots that go outside. A lot of people, if you come by and you're regular and you're hearing this, you can look at those cots and there are extra reinforced metal all over it. The man who did that for us said, you've called me once or twice to do some repairs, but he said, I really messed up on that. He said, you haven't had any problems. I'm out of a job. They've worked for 20 years.
Oh my gosh, that's
So,
great.
so what we did then is along the walls, this same contractor built closed wooden sheds that have doors on them that we take off every day, and there are the books inside. But then on the sheds, they're nice doors, but they were plain. And there are 2 problems with having plain doors like that. One is they don't look good. The second one is if you have a surface like that in the city, inevitably someone is going to graffiti on it.
I was thinking the same thing.
So,
exactly.
So we hired, there was a man that was called, his name was Sidewalk Sam.
I remember.
He was an artist in the area, and he used to do chalk art on city streets, which is why they called him Sidewalk Sam. Sort of getting art out to the community. We knew him. He was a friend of ours. And I said to him, look, we've got these sheds. Would you be willing to paint some of the sheds? And he did it. And then we built other sheds on the other side, and we had an employee who was an artist. And I said to her, do you think you could paint such that it looked like books? And she worked out a method, painted them, did that. And so their art, they look really good when we're not there at night. Also, we have never had anyone graffiti over, because graffiti artists will not graffiti usually over someone else's artwork. So that's all. Now, people say, well, wait a minute, what do you do at night? Well, it's actually a job, because in the morning, every morning, the cots are in the store. We We have to take the doors off, push them to the back of the lot. If anyone's here, they can see them there. Then we roll the carts out in a certain area in order. They come out. At night, we roll the carts back in. We put the doors back on. Each one of those takes 20 minutes to half an hour, depending on how many staff members we have at the time. I've done it all by myself when people have called in sick, or sometimes one or two, but that's almost an hour's work. And then people ask us, well, what happens when it rains? When it rains, we gather all the carts together. We have tarpaulins that we pull out. We have cinder blocks that we put on the edges of the tarpaulins to, if it gets windy, that it doesn't blow them away. If it's a light rain and it's not windy, we leave these sheds open as long as the wind's not blowing the rain. If it's a heavy, we put the doors on also. And then we get complaints because a lot of times in Boston, it will rain for, let's say, an hour or two, and then it will stop raining. And people say, well, why aren't the carts uncovered and so on? And then we say, well, look, it's supposed to rain again in a half an hour.
Hmm.
And the people still say, we want to look. But we say, we can't do the whole process back and forth like that.
Ken, you employ the same technique that Fenway Park groundskeepers do.
Yeah, we sent, I'd like to say we sent everybody to Fenway Park to study how you pull a tarpaulin on. But when we're doing it, it looks very much the same. You pull the ends, you can see the air pocket underneath as it covers over the stands. But the other thing that happens, I'd say maybe once a year, you will get one of those summer rainstorms, the cloudburst.
Mm.
And we lose some books that way. But my feeling on that is that once in a while, you lose a few of the books, but it's well worth keeping. People love taking pictures, posting them on Instagram. It's one of the things that's become one of the key areas of the store. It's, I think, one of the reasons that we get a lot of publicity from tourists all over the world who come. Another question that gets asked out there is people will come in and say, well, I'm buying 5 books. What's the discount?
Mm.
And we say, well,
you're looking at
it's
it.
on sale already. But we do have dates, and we'll sometimes lower them from 5 to 3 to 1. And we say, well, just come back. If they haven't sold, they might be there. Nobody, if they really want the books, ever expects to see them. Another thing that happens out there that's interesting is someone will come in, they'll see a book outside. And now these carts don't go in and out in the exact same location every day. They get moved around.
Yeah.
And someone will get an email from someone in Europe, and they'll say, well, a week and a half ago, we saw a book on your outside cart. Is it still there? And we go, you should have bought it then. There's no way we can find it.
I was curious also about your connection to any multicolored sticker company, because you must go through quite a few of those stick-on stickers of various colors denoting how much the books are worth.
We go through lots and lots of stickers, and they're not cheap, but I mean, they're not significant each sticker. The machine, the sticker gun, though, we worry about those cost almost $100 a piece, and we have 4 or 5 of them.
Wow.
But they do last long enough. That's fine. Another question that comes up with the outside books is theft. People ask, do people steal books? Do they take them? My general response to that is, boy, at the end of the day, I wish I could tell them which ones to take. But they don't. What really happens out there as far as theft, we know that some people do take books. We know there are a few people who they maybe have mental issues and so on. We know that there are a few specific people. Overall, though, if someone, they're $5 books, they're $3 books, they're $1. If someone really feels they need to steal a book at that price, I hope they read it. I hope they enjoy it. I hope they have it. it is definitely not worth us monitoring it. And actually, I don't want to worry about it.
No, it's the Jean Valjean of the book world. I mean,
Well,
hopefully it's somebody who's going to enjoy the book who may have issues, but it's a very small
and
percentage.
our attitude is at the beginning of the day, there are so many books. We sell so many at the end of the day. However, that gets done, it's great. It allows us to buy large quantities of books that other bookstores can't do. It allows us to happily say, yes, we'll take it all. And the real bonus is that it gets us huge amounts of publicity that we never planned on, but every once in a while people will call. And I'll tell you another thing that's happened in the lot that I think I'll encourage more, and we'll maybe even do a whole podcast on this. We've had 3 weddings, 4 or 5 proposals, and a number of people who said they've met their loved one in the lot
Oh,
browsing for books. So I'm going to see if we can promote that more.
that's wonderful. Well, we often talk about experiences in life, and when you live in a city like Boston, there's so much to experience. But I think you've defined and described one of the really top-notch experiences for book lovers. I mean, fresh air, springtime, or winter, doesn't matter, as long as it's not
It,
snowing and raining.
it really isn't winter in Boston, other than the few really bad days, is actually very pleasant. And the reality is, if it's 98 degrees in the summer, it's still people, but I almost find that harder. And and somehow it makes us stand out. It makes our business unique. It serves many purposes. And we have the land. I am not a contractor. I do not want to get into building things that I know nothing about. And it works. And it's fun. And that's the main thing.
Always the main thing, that it's fun.
Well, thank you so much. And anyone listening, come down. We'll show you how we roll things out. And tomorrow morning, although whenever this airs, tomorrow morning, I have my 5-year-old and 3-year-old grandchildren coming in the morning. And the 5-year-old in particular, his job is help pushing and rolling the carts out.
And who knows, he may meet his future love there. I mean, it might be a few years, but you never
Or
know.
maybe he'll find his future profession there too.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.